I know, I know. Naturally, y'all want to dog me a little bit, or y'all don't. But the reason may be because, nigga, nah, Trev, it's been 8 days since you posted. You was posting two a week for a little second. Don't fuck up now. Don't start messing up now. You ain't where you want to be at. All right now, I'm watching. That's the vibe I'm getting once I turn this camera on and once I hit record. Why has it been so long? I started a new job. I'm trying to get acclimated there. It's kind of wild, so just really trying to get it together there, y'all, because still gotta make sure bills get paid. So hope y'all understand that. I was wondering what video I'm gonna react to for like literally all day. Like literally all day I've been thinking like what am I gonna react to? I didn't know. Like I probably didn't know until I turned my TV on and I pressed the YouTube. I pressed the YouTube app. And I see this video. Why it sucks to be a Spartan. I've seen these types of videos before. Like, I do it from animal perspectives. Like, I've seen the one why it sucks to be a penguin. I've seen why it sucks to be why it sucks to be born a lion. I think I've seen why it sucks to be born a black bear. I've seen why it sucks to be born an eagle. I seen why it be suck. I seen why it sucks to be born a hippo. I seen that shit. That's why you always gotta say like basically everything always seemed good from the outside looking in. Everything always seemed good. Like think about the conversations you'd have with your homeboy or something. And you said, "Hey, I wouldn't mind being a lion. I wouldn't mind being a lion." Niggas have said that before. Somebody have said that. There's a percentage of the population of the earth that has said, "Shit, I'll be a lion." That probably ain't too bad. But then you find out that shit kind of suck. Like it don't suck, but like they be going through it too. They be they be dealing with bro. They be dealing with life too. Life be lifing for them too. We might be like, hey, y'all ain't got no bills or nothing like that. But watching these videos let me know, shit, these niggas be going through it too sometimes. These animals, bro, sometimes they be going through it for real. They really do. Like, watch one. I'm telling you, watch one. Just look up. Think of any animal. Cause I think they done made it on every goddamn animal. Think of whatever animal you like the most, and then type in why it sucks to be one. You're gonna be like, damn, bro, I'm sorry. Shit. Cause we be like, as a human, we be going through stuff for real. But this is a different one. This is the first time I seen one. Why it sucks to be a Spartan. Why it sucks to be a Spartan. I ain't never wanted to be a Spartan. I ain't never wanted to be a Spartan. I've only seen one Spartan movie. I kind of hate the fact that I've never seen 300, and I keep telling myself to watch it because I really want to watch it. But I've seen the spoof of 300. Like, if you don't know what spoof is, that's an old school term for like funny spinoff, anything like that. Like, I've seen like the comedy version of 300 that came out like in 2008 or 9 when I was 9. Niggas must be like, ooh. Like in 2009, like I seen that when I was a kid. I seen the funny one. That was funny. Meet the Spartans. That was funny. That's a classic to this day. I don't meet a lot of people that seen that movie. And if you never had an opportunity to watch Meet the Spartans, watch Meet the Spartans. Probably one of the funniest movies you'll watch. I promise you. If you don't laugh once, I send you $1. I cash up you $1 if you don't laugh once. I guarantee you're gonna laugh once. I can imagine it sucked to be a Spartan. I feel like Spartans was real like tough. Like I feel like they were super tough. Like I feel like because it was just back in them days where they didn't have nothing to really like. It wasn't the times where they like really. I feel like baby people. Like today we pretty baby y'all. Like we baby. You ain't gotta do shit for real. Like if you don't want to. And the world will aid you in not doing shit. If you find a way to not do shit good, the world will help you not do shit good, bro. Like, and you don't want to do shit. That's an option today. If you don't want to do shit, you ain't gotta do shit. It's people that are really good at not doing shit. That's just the point. That's just crazy. But that's just the fact of the matter. I feel like back then that wasn't an option. Like if you don't want to do shit, you ain't gotta do shit. But like you ain't gonna be able to not do shit. You ain't gonna get shit. Like
death belong completely to your country. Your parents look at you proudly, expecting great things from you. As Spartans, their greatest wish is for you to go out into the field of battle and bring glory to Sparta. But before any of that can happen, you must first pass inspection. If you are a man, you are under scrutiny from the moment you were born till the moment you die. And all of it started with inspection. The way it worked was simple. Not long after your birth, you would be taken to Gerousia, a council of elder Spartans who would inspect you as if you were livestock. If the boy looked like he was physically or mentally handicapped, then he was of no use to the Spartan army. These infants would then be taken out in the wild and are left to fend for themselves. There have been some myths of—
You said infants? Babies? These niggas two? Like 2, 3, 4? 3, 4? Out. You kick. Bro, hold on. You kicking babies out if you feel like something wrong with them? I know a nigga with 4 fingers, but like he probably like one of the strongest people I know. And y'all like kick him out? You just had to give him some time. Like give him like 10 more years. He would have showed you something. She would have showed you something. You just kicking people out at 3, 4?
babies surviving out in the wilds for long periods of time, and sometimes they get adopted by people who found them.
Why he come up on him like that though? Who is that nigga? Hold on. Why did he come up on him like that? Like if he adopt him, right? What's that for? I've never stood over nothing that I don't want to be like. Why do they do
out in the wilds for long periods of time, and sometimes they get
I've never said. Imagine, even a shoe store, you see a nigga. Imagine in a shoe store, you see somebody who they like the shoes, right? And they go, damn, I really like these shoes. They so fire. Damn. You're gonna be like,
by people who found them, but most of these babies would end up dead less than a week later. But if you survived inspection, then congratulations, because you just got yourself a one-way ticket to a life of discipline, hard work, and the worst body odor imaginable. Right?
They had deodorant and stuff like that, man. I knew it. Like, it probably was a little stanky. I was thinking about that, like, how they deal with musty? Like, they probably didn't care. Like, they probably got used to it after a while, like, being musty. Like, you know how we got cologne now? Back then, the cologne probably was like, dang, you smell less musty than the last person I came in contact with. Like, the less musty you was, they probably was like, that was probably your cologne. Because it was probably like more of your natural, like, body odor, whatever, or body smell, whatever it was. Like,
right from their birth, Spartan children were groomed into tough and manly men. They weren't bathed in water. Instead, they were bathed in barrels of wine.
wow.
Some of the children would have a bad reaction to the wine, but all that it meant was a couple more children to eliminate, and fewer weak soldiers.
What?
In barrels of wine. Some of the children would have a bad reaction to the wine, but all that it meant was a couple more children to eliminate. And
bruh, what? What do you mean? You wash their ass with wine just so they get something bad, like so they react bad to it, so you decide who you want to kick out even more? What? Bro, what? Who was they letting be in charge back then? Who was they letting be in charge? Cause, bro, that don't make no sense. Bro, that don't make no sense. That makes literally no sense, bro.
Fewer weak soldiers on the battlefield. From the moment you were born, you were expected to be tough and independent. If you ended up crying or complaining for whatever reason, then your parents would completely ignore you. This way, you learned that you have to fight for everything you want. You were also...
I get the message, right? I get the message. But you a kid, you cry to your mom, and she just gonna hit you with the... This nigga. Bro, imagine that. You hurt yourself real quick, right? Or you a kid crying. Naturally. Because kids just be crying. And you run up to your mom, you just want her to make it better. And she hits you with the, hey, what the fuck? Crushed. Done. Heartbroken.
Also conditioned to not fear darkness or solitude. There are stories of babies being left in the dark. This way, you learned that you have to fight for everything you want. You are also conditioned to not fear darkness or solitude. There are stories of babies being left in the dark on their own so that they get used to it. Why? Because you had to become the perfect soldier. As a boy, the only career choice you had was to become a soldier. Even thinking of having any dreams or aspirations outside of joining the military was not allowed. These soldiers, better known as hoplites, were the backbone of Spartan society, and they lived by one rule: return with your shield or on it. And the training to be one of them started ripe and early at the age of 7. This training was known as a goge, and every man in Sparta would be part of it until they reached the age of 30. The simplest way to describe this training is that if you had survived to age 7, congratulations, you're finally done with the easiest years of your life. Now, it's time for the real deal. You were put in the care of a paidonomos, which basically translates to boy herder. You would start at the first level of a goge, called the paids, which would last from the day you turned 7 until the age of 17. Then comes the paidoskoi, lasting from 17 to 19 years of age. And finally, the habantes, aged 20 to 29. Of course, you don't understand any of this, considering that you're just a spoiled 7-year-old brat who had lived a life of luxury compared to what's going to come next. If you thought not getting any love from you...
Oh, so you was spoiled from birth to 7? That ain't so bad. That ain't so bad at all. Damn. So the spoiled age then moved from 7 to 18. The spoiled age moved from 7 to 18. That's crazy as fuck. You pretty much, your parents spoil you and shit from when you was born to like 18 for real. Most people. You got the select few who still getting gifts from mommy and daddy at fucking 30. Like, some people still get like that. Like, to those, man, to each his own. I hope to be there for my children one day. But it was birth to 7 back then. Imagine that. You gotta toughen up by age 8. That's crazy.
Age 20 to 29. Of course, you don't understand any of this, considering that you're just a spoiled 7-year-old brat who had lived a life of luxury compared to what's going to come next. If you thought not getting any love from your parents was bad, then imagine being packed in barracks with hundreds of other boys your age and trained day in and day out for 10 long years. The training regimen was extremely brutal and would push you to your absolute limits and then ask you to give even more. Worse was how everyone else treated you. Spartans believed that feeding people as much as they wanted would lead to soft, fat soldiers, so they decided to give everyone slightly less food than what they would need to make sure they don't get fat. If you felt hungry, you were encouraged to try and steal food from others or from the kitchen. But if you got caught, you would be punished. Not because you tried to steal, but because you were too weak to do it without getting caught. This meant that you had to protect everything you had and the food you received.
I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. That's pretty fair. I fuck with that. Because if this the conditions, and you say, hey, you could try to steal some shit, just don't get caught. I'm with that. Because I can do that. I can do that. You say, hey, we're gonna give you this much rice, no salt, no pepper, no sugar. You're gonna be hungry as fuck. But look, we got some more in the kitchen. Rice, bread, all that. Salt, pepper, sugar. What you looking for? We got all of it. All you gotta do, you can steal it. Just don't get caught. You get caught, it's raps. It's raps. But if you don't get caught, you good. You straight. Cause when I'm thinking, I'm hitting push-ups and shit, getting big as fuck. Then I'm sneaking once I get done to go steal some rice and bread. I mean, rice and bread, hitting push-ups. Rice and bread, hitting push-ups. Meanwhile, they ain't doing nothing. Come on now.
You had to protect everything you had and the food you received. If you were hungry, so was everyone else. And showing weakness would be your end. All that Sparta cares about is the cream of the crop, so the Paidonomos and other people in charge would intentionally cause fights between the boys to see who was the strongest. Hungry, young, and irritable, you would all be too happy to fight someone if it meant you could eat some more food. This hunger did lead to some benefits though. After all, when you were out on the battlefield and your rations were running low, years of feeling hungry meant that you didn't even feel a thing. While your opponents ran out of strength and felt hungry after hours of battle, you could still stand, strong as ever. Around the age of 12, the next step of your training
Okay.
that you didn't even feel a thing. While your opponents ran out of strength and felt hungry after hours of battle, you could still stand, strong as ever. Around the age of 12, the next step of your training would become. Everything you had, including your clothes, would be taken from you, and you would be sent outside to sleep in the wilds. All you would have is a red cloak, and from there, you would have to find shelter, food, and water to sustain yourself or perish. And things would get even worse when the girls would visit. These girls would sing in assembly halls for the gathered elders and soldiers in training, and in their songs, they would single out kids who had been underperforming and make fun of them for everyone to see. In Spartan society, girls had to go through their own strict regimen, but I'll talk more about that later. But all of this abuse meant that by the time Spartan boys reached adulthood, they were ready to withstand the pain, hunger, and cold of the battlefield. They had been taught the art of warfare, writing, and poetry, and with these skills, they were ready to crush the enemy. But before they could become proper soldiers, they had to go through one last trial. This was the Dimastagosis, also known as the Contest of Endurance. Simply put, teen boys would be taken to the sanctuary of Artemis Orthia, an important religious site dedicated to the goddess Artemis, and then would be flogged, sometimes to death. This practice was meant to not only test the boys' pain tolerance, but was also an important religious ritual in Spartan customs. Over time, it became highly famous all over Greece, to the point that visitors would visit just to see it with their own eyes, and an amphitheater was built to accommodate more people. Finally, if you somehow managed to survive all this, you could finally give yourself a pat on the back. Some of the worst years of your life were finally over, and you might get a couple moments to rest. At least, if there's not a war going on. And considering Sparta, that was never possible. And while the Agoge was bad, war was complete hell, where you would be left to fend for yourself or die. Luckily, years of training had taught you what to do, and so, more often than not, Spartan soldiers would claim victory, but it wouldn't come without sacrifices. The same thing went for women and marriage. As a man, your first and only duty was the glory of Sparta. For the first 30 years of your life, being a good soldier was all that mattered, which meant that there was little time for romantic relationships. At the same time, it was expected that men would get married early, mostly in the early 20s, to the point that if you weren't married by the time you were 30, you were ridiculed. But while you might be married, communal living with your fellow soldiers wouldn't end until you're 30 years old, which meant you either had to sneak out at night to be intimate with your wife or stay a virgin forever. Or the third option was to do the deed with the other male soldiers living with you.
Oh, hell no. Run it back.
Or stay a virgin forever. Or the third option. At the same time, it was expected that men would get married early, mostly in the early 20s, to the point that if you weren't married by the time you were 30, you were ridiculed.
That
But
nigga
while
ain't
you
no
might be
life.
married, communal living with your fellow soldiers wouldn't end until you're 30 years old, which meant you either had to sneak out at night to be
30? You gotta live with somebody until you 30? Bro, that's terrible. So, bro, I'm thinking to get my shorty.
intimate with your wife or stay a virgin forever. Or the third option was to do the deed with the other male soldiers living with you. Eventually, if you managed to survive all this and live to the age of 60, you would be given the chance to join the Garcia yourself and raise a new generation of Spartan soldiers. On the other hand were the girls of Sparta, and they had a much easier time as compared to the men. Unlike men, they didn't have to go through inspection, and it's likely that all the infants killed were boys. Girls were generally trained in a much more different set of skills, from dancing and singing to even javelin throwing, so that they would be strong, healthy mothers. The duty of these girls was to give birth to an even stronger generation of Spartan men. Since most of the menial labor was done by slaves that Spartan men would capture on their exploits, women were given a high amount of freedom, and would often be the ones managing the house. As a woman in Sparta, you can even own land and inherit property, as well as get a proper education. You would also be put through a training regimen of your own, where you were built up to be just as strong as the men who were training to go to war. Women who died in childbirth would be honored just as much as men who died on the battlefield. So, that's life in Sparta. At age 65, as you lie in your bed, you feel that death is near. At your age, it feels more like a reward to die than anything else. You survive countless hardships, from losing loved ones to the pains of training to going to war and watching your comrades fall in battle. You survived battle after battle, and even now you have your shield with you. Hopefully, the next crop of Spartan soldiers can bring even more glory to this beautiful land. Your final thought as you feel yourself slipping away is that maybe this is how a Spartan is supposed to go. It would have been good to fall in battle though, instead of dying alone in bed. But in the end, maybe this is all that a Spartan can ask for. If you like this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button.
I ain't gonna lie, that was wild, bro. That was pretty wicked. That was pretty wicked. See, right here, why it sucks to be a mafia boss. Being the Spartan. Well, hold on. Put your ass over here. Being the Spartan, see, crazy. Like, comment, subscribe. Love y'all.